This week in the AWWL Wrestling League, we're going to be taking a special look at some of the unsung heroes of the wrestling world, my beloved brothers of anonymity, the masked wrestlers of the AWWL. Some people want their faces on TV, magazine covers, and billboards, but we masked men prefer our privacy. And let me tell you, sometimes it's not easy being incognito. So let's salute these masked wrestlers who are giving it all they have to work their way up the ranks of the AWWL Wrestling League. Talking about that man right there, a big man, Memphis spoiler. People here at ringside drowning out our ring announcer. Impossible to hear the introduction for Harker, Dirge, because the people want to see something. They're chanting burn. And maybe we'll find out why. At some point in this match, that's something that Memphis spoiler, a newcomer here, is going to have to think about. And Dirge hammering home that fact that he possesses a secret weapon, a mental advantage that he keeps in his back pocket, the fire flowing. Two men tie up, neither man gaining an advantage. They tie up, Dirge up and over, a nice looking top wrist lock. Memphis spoiler can't find his way out, but he finds the rope. Referee counting, Dirge chooses to break. Sometimes he breaks clean, sometimes he doesn't. Harker Dirge, no Boy Scout in that ring, and he's not known for obeying the rules. Slips underneath, schoolboy. 2 count, Dirge lets him up. Memphis spoiler getting frustrated, shoves Dirge underneath. Left jabs. Big right hand takes a Memphis spoiler down. Spoiler up to his feet, not for very long. Leg takedown, Dirge stomping away at the left limb of the Memphis spoiler over the top in a shin breaker. Such a variety of maneuvers you see on the part of Harker Dirge, employed each and every time we see him here. This man has so many ways to hurt you. That right there, a single leg Boston Crab, being amongst the ways he can do it. Spoiler, again, not able to find an escape, finds the ropes. Dirge lets go and stomps him right in the ribs and one to the head for good measure. Dirge goes from scientific wrestling to rough housing and the blink of an eye. Right now he's got a claw hold on the Memphis spoiler and he's showing that thumb, that tape thumb, a weapon that he uses so many different ways. He has it right in the nerves of Memphis spoiler. Spoiler again to the ropes, Dirge hammering away, and spoiler so far unable to come up with any counters to the wrestling maneuvers of Harker Dirge. Sends him across. Hard clothesline takes the Memphis spoiler down. Some fans want to see Dirge make him bleed, others want to see Dirge make him burn. But it's almost 100% positive they want to see Harker Dirge do bad things to Memphis spoiler. Dirge with a running elbow in a corner, going for another one. Spoiler out of the way that time. Dirge hit hard on that turnbuckle. Double chop to the throat. Spoiler now has his man up. Suplex. And the Memphis spoiler sees some light and he's taking advantage of it. All over Dirge though, got a little too close. Hammer to the jaw. Spoiler trying to keep Harker Dirge in the corner. Fist the midsection, one up high. Spoiler has it against the ropes now. And he can't get the man with scientific wrestling. He can't get him fighting one-on-one. He's going to try just to choke the air out of Harker. Dirge runs his head to the turnbuckle. That one had no effect. Dirge now returning the favor a second time. And a third time. Bouncing the head of the Memphis spoiler off that turnbuckle. Dirge pauses for one beat, but one beat too long. Spoiler reaching up and getting his thumb in the eye. Good-looking gut-wrench suplex there, but the Memphis spoiler gets about a 2 count. Spoiler arguing that wasn't even near a 3 count. That was just barely a 2. Goes the eyes again, and that is a weak spot on anybody's body if a Small child even gets his thumb in your eye, you're gonna feel it. Memphis spoiler, no small child. Oh, hard body slam, and there was no give in that ring, you could see. Dirge hit hard on that one. Hard enough to wake him up. He's coming back, chin buster there. Has him in a headlock across the ring, up and down with a bulldog. Dirge now getting his second wind. There's that look, that animalistic look in the eyes of the man, Harker Dirge. Knee left right underneath the chin of Memphis. Spoiler has him on Dream Street. Spoiler now, only thing holding him up is the ropes. And Dirge peppering away with right hands to the forehead of the Spoiler. Just bouncing those fists right off the masked dome of the masked man. And Dirge says, it's time. Slit the throat. Shoot him across. Spoiler trying to resist, but Dirge brings him up those ropes in a sleeper hold. The dirt nap by Harker Dirge. Dirge is beating so many men with that dirt nap sleeper hold, but he wants to do something else. He shows that Asiatic spike and delivers it hard to the throat. A Memphis spoiler, 1, 2, 3. It is over. Your winner, the fire-throwing maniac, Harker Dirge.
Lobo Brown here, gentlemen. Let's let Mr. Brown here speak.
Since I stepped in the ring at AWWL, everybody's been a fluke victory over me.
Matter of fact, tell him what your record is, dog. Ain't you like 0-40?
The record doesn't matter.
He's right on
It
that.
doesn't matter.
He's about 0-40, though.
My accomplishment is that I stepped in that ring. I got my feet wet.
I've seen old lady.
Mr. What's My Name, Whipdog Johnson, hitting the ring against Lobo Brown, who lowers the boom on Whipdog Johnson right before the bell. Lobo Brown coming to take it to Whipdog Johnson, 110%. Whipdog down in the corner. We hope to keep you up to date on the condition of the ladies, Randy West and Serenity. If we don't have that by the end of this show, we'll get it to you next week. Whipdog Johnson shooting Lobo Brown across, follows in with a reverse body splash. A snapmare. Whipdog off the ropes and brings that size 14 boot right to the masked head of Lobo Brown. Whipdog now gonna make Lobo pay for what he did earlier in this match. Not even giving Whipdog a chance to get in the ring without a fight, but Whipdog used to fighting, used to using those big fists to do damage any way he can, just like he likes to do right here in the All-World Wrestling League. Whipdog now stalking his prey, waiting for Lobo, picking the big man up and driving him hard with a body slam. What's my name indeed? Whipdog Johnson up the ropes, but Lobo out of the way. Whipdog landing. Leg first on that mat. Lobo Brown setting up for something here. And it's a spear. Whipdog is down. What a powerful maneuver. Lobo on top. 1, 2. Whipdog kicked out. Lobo now hammering away on Whipdog Johnson. This is definitely the most aggressive, the most vicious we've seen Lobo Brown here in the rings of the AWWL. Setting him up again, waiting in the corner. Lobo possibly going for another spear. He feels like that move struck hard the first time. It might win him the match the second time. Whipdog with a nice leapdog and a spinning kick by Whipdog Johnson. Beautiful agility by the big man. On top, 1, 2. Lobo able to kick out. Former champ, fan favorite, Whipdog Johnson, shooting Lobo to the corner. And he wanted complete attention for that, and we heard it. Big chop. Another big chop to the chest of Lobo Brown. Shoots him across clothesline. Whipdog going for another body slam on Lobo Brown. The power displayed by Whipdog, but right there is a good shot of the agility displayed by Whipdog. Wait a minute, back to live action. Lobo Brown on top, going for the cover. Lobo able to shock Whipdog and get him down all of a sudden on the mat. Right when Whipdog wasn't paying attention, shoot him in the corner now. Whipdog reverses again, and a clothesline in the corner. DDT by Whipdog Johnson, and the big man is going to the second. No, the top turnbuckle. Unbelievable of Lobo. Oh, Lobo out of the way. I was going to say if Lobo didn't get out of the way of that one, he was definitely going to be done for, squished and left. In the middle of the ring, another victim of Mr. What's My Name, Whipdog Johnson. But now the tide is turned, and it looks to be completely in the favor of Lobo Brown. But just as I'm saying that, Whipdog out of the way. Back and forth action, there it is right there. This is the favorite move, the one that wins him so many matches. The choke slam, 1, 2, 3, your winner, Whipdog Johnson.
Introducing contender number 1, Mrs. X. Contender number 2, Randy West. And contender number 3, your AWWL Ladies Champion, this Randy.
Thank you, Travis. Here is a match that promises to be one of the more unusual encounters we have seen in the All-World Wrestling League. Original big-time wrestling. We have the champion Serenity, the perennial #1 contender Randy West, and the mysterious, there you see her, Mrs. X. Mrs. X is full of swagger at the outset of this match. Of course, she's brought to the AWWL by Mr. X. We're not sure of the relationship between these two, but whoa, Serenity and Randy West starting out fast on Mrs. X. Chop after chop, Serenity and Randy West deciding to double team Mrs. X, who goes for a clothesline and is brought down by a double clothesline. Good teamwork by Randy West and the AWWL Ladies Champion Serenity, who turned her back. Randy West with a schoolgirl roll-up only gets a 2 count. Arm drag by Serenity. Things are cooking fast here. Another arm drag by Serenity, and she's waiting on Randy West. Picks her up with a sidewalk slam. Yes, indeed, there it is. On top of the cover, but only a quick 2 count by Serenity. Here comes Mrs. X. This Mrs. X is an unusual looking competitor. Kinda looks familiar. A little more muscular than some of the ladies competitors we've seen in the past. And it appears as though Serenity has literally knocked the stuffing out of Mrs. X, who fights back in, registers with an inverted atomic drop to the champion Serenity. Mrs. X trying to collect herself, but Randy West taking advantage of the turned back of the masked lady, Mrs. X. Camel clutch by Randy West. Mrs. X trying to hold herself together in this match. She's a lot bigger than these other two. Like I said, Mrs. X looks a little bit familiar to me. I don't know if it could be maybe Venus or Serena or maybe somebody else we've seen. The long blonde hair is throwing me off. Serenity, in the meantime, managed to get a camel clutch on Randy West, and we have a 2-way submission hold. Referee right on top of things. Neither lady willing to concede the fall at this moment. The champion feels that she has things well within her grasp, but she makes the same mistake that Mrs. X made earlier, turning her back on Randy West, a cagey veteran of the wrestling ring. Randy throwing Serenity halfway across the ring by her blonde locks. Now, picking up the blonde locks of Mrs. X. Hammering away. Mrs. X screaming in pain. Shoots her to the ropes. Double clothesline. Both ladies are down. Serenity and Randy West certainly look smart in this match. You can tell they've spent a little bit of money on their ring gear. Mrs. X, on the other hand, not so much. 2 count by Serenity. Hammering away at the back, the AWWL Ladies Champion Serenity. She is a screamer. Oh, Randy West takes her down. Double leg pickup, firing away at the jaw of Serenity. Mrs. X trying to make her way up to take advantage of Randy West. Has her hooked. Up and spinning around. Deposits Randy West down on the mat. 2 count. Serenity able to make the save and hang on to her Ladies Championship belt. So hard to secure a fall in these 3-way matches. Really, you have to be able to down 2 opponents, not just one, because there's always one around the corner looking to make the save. Right here, Serenity and Randy West both going after the down to Mrs. X. Randy West that time able to make the save. On top for a 2 count, Mrs. X raises the shoulder. It looks like Serenity and Randy West are going to bury the hatchet momentarily and get on the same page. They have Mrs. X hooked, double suplex. Serenity on top. Too close to Randy. Randy able to make the save. Randy too close to Serenity. Serenity able to make the save. Well, neither one is going to get the advantage this way. They're going to have to reevaluate their strategy. Serenity getting frustrated, but hey, Randy West is in it to win it just the same as Mrs. X and Serenity. Hammering away now, one after the other. Serenity ducks. Forearm, forearm, forearm to Randy West. Has her hooked in a headlock. She's signaling for victory. Has her down with a bulldog. On top, 1, 2, and a kick out by Randy West. What do we have here in the background? Mr. X. Mr. X has made his way to ringside. Serenity has plenty to say to Mr. X, but she took her eyes off of Mrs. X long enough to get hooked. Mrs. X is on top. 1, 2, no. Randy West makes the save. Mrs. X with the X marks the spot maneuver on Serenity, but now Randy West has a reverse DDT on Mrs. X, goes on top of the cover on the champion Serenity. 1, 2, 3, and we have a new AWWL Ladies Champion. Her name is Randy West.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the match, Randy West.
Unbelievable turn of events. We had Mr. X coming in to make the distraction long enough for Mr. X to score right there. X marks the spot. Similar move that we've seen Mr. X use in the past. Now, Randy West saying, good match. Wait a minute, Serenity nailing Randy West as she was outstretching the hand and a show of good sportsmanship. Now we have a double team. Mrs. X and Serenity teaming up against Randy West, the new ladies champion. It looks to me like Serenity is showing her true colors now. That is a sign of poor sportsmanship if I have ever seen one. And the fans expressing their disapproval, as well they should. Serenity behaving like a spoiled brat after losing the ladies championship. So right there you see the new champion, Randy West. Oh, and Pruitt, before the bell even sounds, grabbing Mr. X by the throat, slapping him across the face, shoots Mr. X across and is starting out fast. Hip toss by Mr. X. Pruitt follows, but gets body slammed for his troubles. Mr. X with a drop kick, a back fist, and Pruitt is out of the ring. The fans responding to Mr. X. Mr. X gaining fan support is definitely an unusual occurrence in the All-World Wrestling League. With Jerome Pruitt out on the floor, buying his time, right here you can see the onslaught that caused him to rethink his game plan as Mr. X with a very good-looking drop kick. And now, Mr. X playing a little game of ping pong with the head of Jerome Pruitt, who finds himself back on the unforgiving ringside floor, and Mr. X seems to really be loving the fan support in this match. Pruitt struggling back to the inside now. Mr. X is going to bring him in over the top rope. Takes him over in a side headlock. Good wrestling takedown by Mr. X. It looks like he's going to try to appease the fans by fighting fair in this match. Pruitt looking for a defensive posture. Mr. X cranking up though. I'm a little bit stunned by the fan support. Mr. X doesn't want to find himself with his back on that mat and Pruitt with a waist lock. Pruitt is a good amateur wrestler in addition to being a fine professional wrestler. Pruitt with forearms to the back of Mr. X. Shoots him across. Mr. X using a headbutt to take Pruitt down. Another one, shoulder and head tackle by Mr. X. And he picks Pruitt up and drives him to the mat with a body slam. X on top, 2 count. Pruitt crawling across the ring but ends up right back in a headlock takeover as applied by the mysterious Mr. X. Fans, we've got to take another commercial break. We'll be right back. AWWL Original Big Time Wrestling. Original Big Time Wrestling, All-World Wrestling League. We're back to live action. Jerome Pruitt, during the break, was able to take advantage of Mr. X and get a hold of the left leg. And all through the break, he has been punishing Mr. X. Pruitt now going for a devastating, solid, locked in tight, figure 4 leg lock. The referee, close to things, checking on Mr. X. But he doesn't see Pruitt using the rope for leverage. The figure 4 leg lock is bad enough, but when you add that to it, referee, take a look upstairs. What's happening? Pruitt out and out breaking the rules. Whoa, we got a little shoving match going on here. Pruitt should never put his hands on the official, but in turn, the official should not put his hands on Pruitt. Oh, inside cradle, Mr. X, 2 count. Pruitt got distracted by the referee, and Mr. X took advantage, but that leg just hurting too much. Pruitt able to execute a chop block, take Mr. X down. Now, he's going to apply a little more damage to that injured limb. The left leg of Mr. X, who pulls it out of the way. Pruitt, too braggadocious, too full of himself, too confident in that instance, and he gave Mr. X the opportunity to make a little bit of a comeback, but Mr. X is still hobbled. X now just can't take advantage. He's going to go after the leg of Pruitt. Both men are down, but Mr. X is just hurting. Mr. X now turning Pruitt around. Looks like he's headed for that turnbuckle. I don't understand the logic of Mr. X with an injured leg attempting to climb the turnbuckle. But then again, I almost never understand the logic applied by Mr. X, if indeed there is any logic whatsoever. Oh, but it paid off. I stand corrected, Mr. X. You were right that time because that flying elbow hit the mark. Jerome Pruitt down, 1, 2, and no! Able to lift the shoulder. Pruitt still fighting and has hold of the leg. Going back like a vicious rabid dog on the injury, but Mr. X hangs on to the neck, brings Pruitt down with a DDT, but Pruitt still hanging on to Mr. X. Body-to-body contact, the name of the game here. Mr. X on top though, 1, 2. Oh, Hesitation by the referee. I think that could have been a 3 count, but that's why I'm not the one wearing the stripes. Being an official in the All-World Wrestling League is a thankless, difficult task. Both men down, the referee applying the count. The fans rallying, I would assume rallying Mr. X back to his feet. Pruitt, though, looks like he's going to be the first man up. Mr. X down. That last onslaught, that DDT, may have been all Mr. X had in the tank. He has really taken punishment right here. Overhead, belly-to-belly suplex by Jerome Pruitt. What a maneuver. 1, 2, Mr. X foot on the ropes. Referee didn't see it. Pruitt pulls the foot off the ropes, and the referee awards the match.